Could you guys identify yourself while you're doing audio?
Sure, I'm Matthew Beans. I'm one of the writers on the show.
I'm John Harpton, of course, one of the executive producers.
I'm Eric Towner, one of the executive producers.
Take it away.
Tell us about yourself.
So what did you guys actually announce at the panel for like us who didn't catch?
Well, I don't know if anything was announced per se, but go ahead.
The DC Comics special, which is September 9th, airing, that's obviously a very exciting thing.
So yeah, that's the big thing that's coming out. I think that maybe the date was the newest thing that we've let people know. But there's been buzz about there being a crossover with Robot Chicken and DC for a little while. So yeah.
Has there ever been an idea that you've written or a sketch that you've written where you turned it over to production and they were like, "There's no way in hell we can do this"?
Yeah, that happens quite a bit. Well, I think over time, because this is our 6th season now that we're producing, we've just gotten better and better at knowing before it gets to that stage whether it's going to work or not. But even still, there's a lot of times when if sketches aren't turned away, then they are modified in order to make it possible.
Yeah, I think from a production standpoint, like any sketches that have excessive amounts of water or excessive amounts of crowds, we're usually like,
Yeah.
Because it's all stop motion, basically, right? Have you ever thought about changing it over to a computerized
absolutely
format?
not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping.
Stop motion.
no.
Yeah. That's part of the charm of the show, and just the toys, the actual toys modified, coming to life in stop motion. It's a lot of fun.
Now, along those lines of some stuff that you can't quite get past, what if there were no bars on it and you guys could pass an episode through of whatever you wanted? What would be the ideal episode that you guys would, some of the stuff you would go with?
Geez, like anything goes?
Anything goes. Like I'm your network executive. You guys can put anything on the air. Right
I think Harv would do an Aaron Rodgers sketch for sure.
No.
He's a huge
Packers theme episode.
Oh, like a Packers special, like DC Comics special.
You get 5 viewers.
You and your family.
I wrote a sketch initially that involved a gladiator battle between a car and like 450 thoroughbred horses.
The horsepower sketch.
The horsepower sketch, which still exists, but it had to be refined down to, I think, like 3 horses. I'm not saying that would be my ideal, ultimate sketch, but that would be the kind of thing that if you really took the doors off and could do responsibly, then that would be awesome.
You guys get you guys get a ton of celebrity cameos all the time. So is there anybody that you're looking forward to that's coming up soon?
Well, I think a few people were talked about on the panel. Sam Elliott does a couple of sketches.
Yeah.
He's just brilliant.
There's a couple names of actors that you really respect. Stanley Tucci, I guess, is doing a voice for us this season, and that just amazes me. It's the best. I can't wait to hear that. There's one other guy that they mentioned in there that struck me as someone you're used to seeing on the Academy Awards ballot and not on the credits of Robot Chicken. It's pretty great. I'd love to get John Cusack, so if you guys can put that in and put some pressure on these guys.
We can make this happen.
By our powers combined.
That's right.
Harv would like to get Dave Coulier.
What's the big one?
He'd be really easy.
Yeah, right.
Really?
I don't know what else he's got going on.
Can you aim a little higher?
Yeah.
He has done our show. He did Popeye on.
Yeah, I'd love to get Seth Green to do a voice.
Yeah. Stop. Let's not.
No more.
Wish too much.
I
His ego.
You got a question?
Yeah, so guys, I was going to ask a little bit more about the DC project. What was the creative atmosphere like, especially working with Jeff Johns? Did he yell at you guys for not being comic book writers and not being serious? Was he all game for the humor? Did he help you get into the world? Was it challenging?
Jeff wrote on the show, on that episode. He has written on Robot Chicken in the past. And having him in the room made it a little bit more immediate, because if there was anything that was on the edge that we thought maybe DC, Jeff pretty much is the voice of DC. So he there were very few things that he turned away. Anything that involved like domestic violence on a woman, for example, or if it even suggested that, he was quick to say, "Yeah, I know, it's so funny." But that was really about it. Otherwise, he was very game. He wrote some stuff on his own that you could tell he'd been dreaming about doing for a long time. So, yeah.
And I think on the production end, we set up a new studio. So for the DC Comics special, we had Seth directing. So he was on the floor working with the animators, and it really set the tone. It was a really great, collaborative, fun environment.
Yeah, it's been a great experience.
And that was outside of the Robot Chicken offices normally,
Well, myself and Harv partnered up with Matt and Seth to form Stupid Buddy Studios, and so we just set up our new production offices.
Way over here.
I had one and I was just letting somebody go. I totally flanked out about it.
I think it was the end of maybe season 4 where you had a really complex
The epic one shot.
running up the stairs and fighting all
Epic
that.
chicken.
Is it gonna get more intense from there, or?
Well, yes, there was a suggestion in the panel. If you had seen it, there was that was the end of season 5, and can you say what we're gonna do?
There's a bit of a continuation of that story.
Okay.
I could say that, I think.
I don't know if it's gonna go. It takes a lot out of a show to extend something for 5 minutes out of our show anyway. So we couldn't do that regularly and just keep trying to top that. But we don't just leave it hanging. We do kind of follow up.
So if you were to do maybe a complete movie, have you ever thought about that? Or, a whole episode following just one story?
Yes, to both. I have never been part of the feature conversation, although I know it's been kicked around before. And we've often talked about doing a continuous storyline. And I think actually Tom Root, who's our head writer, if we were to do something like that, he'd want to just play it absolutely dead serious. Zero jokes. Just, this like drama between these characters. And he
wants to win some Oscars.
Yeah. Ben Stanley Tucci would be a perfect fit. Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, I asked
You had talked about, or you mentioned the whole thing with like domestic violence.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I thought of was that bit where there was that couple in front of the doctor and she had like a black eye. And like, what happened? And I was like, oh, well, we got hit by a door. And he goes, oh, we got this perfect, gives you a Nerf door so that won't happen again. He's like, oh, well, we're going to need some Nerf stairs too. I thought that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And it was really short. And I'm kind of a fan of like the really, really short skits. And I was just curious if there was any backlash over that, or was that just kind of snuck under the radar? Did anybody care about that domestic violence bit at all? Or?
Well, we've done way worse.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of like always been like a horrible joke for people. With someone beating a wife or something like that. There's nothing. I always thought there was nothing funny about that.
It's funny as long as it's somebody else.
But yeah, I guess that obviously there's no backlash to that.
Well, I mean, it's like a real thing, so you're tapping into something that actually happens. We would hope no one would take it as that we're encouraging this behavior. But if I think that Tooth Fairy sketch, you ever see that? It's known as like the darkest sketch we've ever written, and it's all about domestic violence. So I think if that one got on, then sketches like that are probably relatively tame for people.
You had Superman beat up a little boy.
What's that?
You've had Superman beat up a little boy.
That's true. We've done it all.
Yes.
Who wrote the Law and Order sketch that was just
The chickens?
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite.
That was Kevin Shinnick, and it's one of my favorites. Yeah. Kevin is now the executive producer of Mad, the kids sketch show on Cartoon Network.
Harv and I used to animate on the show before we became producers on it, and that was one of the sketches that I had animated on. It was just so ridiculous. I didn't actually watch Law & Order at the time. My girlfriend does now, so I know all about it.
It's pretty.
These chickens are insane. I have no idea what this is, but
yeah.
Let's do
the
it.
thing is, if you've seen that sketch, you've seen every episode.
Yeah, you don't need to work.
I know, that's what I realized.
Yeah.
They go to really really dark places. Robot Chicken doesn't even come close.
So you guys done some collaborations, some special dish episodes. What are some ones you guys love to do if you get a chance?
Like a special? Or
Yeah,
just
your
crossover?
specials. Like you had the Star Wars specials.
Yeah.
Now the DC. What else would you guys love to see in the future, personally?
I would personally, I would love to see a Robot Chicken Legos sketch. They're really fun
Beans in his Legos.
to animate. part of the problem with that though is that those animated Lego sketches are everywhere online, so it'd be a tall order to beat out everyone else's ideas. And also, it's nice that Legos are a world, but there's not that understood language about what the conventions of it are. Something like Star Wars or DC, all that's established, so it's about finding a big enough world that you can make jokes out of it, and poke fun at minutia. We've talked about doing Indiana Jones, but even that, it's not a big enough world. You know, you have one recognizable character and a few catchphrases. You know, but other than that, you're limited.
Yeah, I would think that like either He-Man or G.I. Joe would be perfect. Just because we've done so much stuff already in those worlds.
He-Man.
He-Man are so wild too. Yeah. He-Man and G.I. Joe would be really good. Thank you.
You guys mentioned backlash on the sketches. What was like the biggest backlash on the sketch that you guys ever had?
I don't know about major backlash. I had a bad season. I wrote last season and I had a bad season, which was not. I wrote a Mortal Kombat sketch where.
The Kano Johnny Cage one?
No. I know what one you're talking about, but in this one, Johnny Cage is in a mental institution. You don't know it's him. And the doctor's saying, like, you can go home now, you're cured. And he says, what if the voices come back? And he says, you know, don't worry, you're cured. And then he goes home to his family. And as soon as he steps in, you hear the voice, like, finish him. And he starts so I thought that was completely in Robot Chicken's wheelhouse. But some things, you know, the timing wasn't great, and the issues with, we were basically misdirecting the audience to think that he was a soldier who had post-traumatic stress disorder. And that was too much. Even though that's not what it was, that was the misdirect. So they nixed that, and it never aired. And then I wrote a Lego NASA sketch that involved a shuttle taking off and then blowing up, and it happened to air on the 25th anniversary of the Challenger thing. So that was so those two are the worst two that I've gotten involved in, but it was completely unintentional. Had nothing to do with what it looked like. Way to bring the room down, dude.
It's a real bummer. I mean, I've had some backlash from my parents. Like I animated a shot where a kid got ripped in half, like he was tied to a horse, like hands and feet and ropes and.
Oh
yeah, and he got pulled in half. This is awful. And they're like, "Oh, that's what you do?" Not my idea.
What's the writing process like? Who's in the room? How the gags get developed? What's the cross-checking process to make sure they're funny?
Yeah.
What's that like?
There's about 6 of us in the room. At least this season there were. And then Matt and Seth are pretty involved from oversight point of view. So the 6 people in the room are the writers, 2 head writers and 4 staff. And then we just basically have a list of properties that we're trying to break, and everybody works on their own. After a few weeks of doing that, you know, every day we vote on sketches and decide which ones are the ones that are going to stay in the script and which ones aren't. And after 3 weeks of that, we start scripting, which is just, you know, typing them out, formatting them, and then allowing everybody else to weigh in, punch up jokes. You know, it is an evolution. the beginning part's just yourself, and the end is more collaborative.
Two questions.
Okay.
So per each like 15-minute episode, how many hours of stop motion on average does it usually take? Like how many hours of filming does it take to create 15? And has the second part, has Cartoon Network ever said like, you guys, this really isn't profitable just because of how long it takes?
I mean, it takes a village to make Robot Chicken. There are tons of artists that work on the show, and stop motion animation, it's a frame at a time. There's no way around that. So there's a lot of, just over 6 seasons, I mean, finding a way to make that efficient and, I don't know about profitable, but at least not losing money, then that's a success, yeah. So as far as the number of hours, to do 20 episodes is a year.
Or do we need
Yeah, we have like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. What are the best sketches you guys can think of? Your favorite sketches?
The Law and Order KFC would be on that list. I also really love the 1776 sketch.
Oh, that's a good
Also one Kevin wrote. Really love it. You guys have favorites?
Who wrote the one last year? It was the He-Man, like, he goes to a party, dancing around.
Oh, the fake He-Man?
Yeah.
I love that one, that's amazing.
Guess that's Tom.
Tom Rootman's again.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the show.
I don't really watch it. No, I had worked on a Conan the Barbarian sketch a while ago that was him singing and dancing, answering the question, what is best in life? And it was kind of fun.
Oh, the musical episode?
Yeah.
With Gene Simmons as the bad guy.
Yeah. That's the one.
Anybody else?
I've got it.
Yeah.
Was this for Children's Hospital?
Oh,
The
you
hat?
know what? I assume. Otherwise,
They were just like, put
I was
it
handed stuff. I'm such a sheep. I'm like, yes, just approve of me. But we all wore them, except for Brecken. who was
Yeah, I saw
too
the
cool.
on the panel. You
Brecken was too cool.
Probably too cool.
Garfield. Can you send me an MP3? That'd be awesome.
The tables have turned.
Yes. Were you gonna ask something?
No, I won't say no. You guys been arguing. You just go ahead.
You were in Garfield, yeah, and I win.
All right, I think we're good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. There's just going to be a couple minute break, and then Matt and Tom are going to be over here.
Okay.
Is that it? Yeah. You done? No, you're like, I got it.